Hello, everybody that's tuned in from after after the event. Just to let you know, we're just waiting for a few minutes before I actually start streaming, just to get in there ahead of the go live time. In the meantime, you get some wonderful views of my little truck. Apologies for the fact there is no sound or music. It's simply the fact that I didn't want to be done for copyright infringement, and so have turned off the background music for the pause screen. So, just ahead of time, before I start the main stream, I will explain what has happened. Essentially, since the last time I streamed, there had been an update, and that update has caused, for some reason, my lorry to be put right back at Aberdeen with no way of fast travelling back to where I was in Plymouth. Of course, at this point, we are trying to get to Brest, which is obviously not too far from Plymouth. So what we're going to do is we will be driving non-stop to Plymouth without a trailer, so it should be fairly speedy, but I don't know how long it's going to take. And we're then going to be looking into options on. I think as I go, I will be explaining what it is I'm actually planning on doing in terms of this race. So my plan is actually not to race any longer. It's actually to just take in all the checkpoints, explore Europe, and get to Istanbul with enough money to buy a to basically buy a garage at every checkpoint. I don't have the money to buy one in Brest when I get there. It will probably be a bank loan for that one, and the idea would be to get all the way over to Istanbul without having to pay, without any bank loans still intact, and still be able to buy a garage there. Reason for that is twofold. This situation won't happen again where I'm going to have to travel all the way down there. And the other reason is that it was obvious I was not going to win this race in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the time that I had planned for the entirety of the journey had taken me that long just to end up in Plymouth. And yes, for those that haven't joined us before, I've been all the way around the houses to get to Plymouth and back, because once I got to Roscoff, there were no jobs for me at all that would take me to Brest, which was irritating. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Right, so I've started about 5 minutes early now, but let's start playing. I'll start driving, because let's face it, this wasn't exactly the plan originally anyway. So we'll just be following that sat-nav all the way down to Plymouth with no jobs, because that would be cheating. Of course, this already puts me at a disadvantage because the extra travel I'm going to have to do, but also the fact that I'm going to have to buy fuel for this journey is not pleasing me one bit. I do need to remember that I'm on a realistic gearbox, or realistic automatic anyway. So the idea of this was to race from point to point, going all the way from here in Aberdeen to Istanbul, but taking in a lot of checkpoints along the way. The first of those checkpoints was Brest in France, and the plan is still essentially to do that, but it will be less of a race now. Oh yes, I should probably stick to the speed limit. So now it's all about money. It has changed to be all about money and less about speed. Some of the rules still apply. So for example, I won't be allowed to change this lorry. I won't be able to buy it long distance. And I will be looking into, when I get some perk points, whether or not I even spend them at all from this point. It might be that what I've got now is what remains. It's really annoying that I'm not on miles per hour. I am going to change that because it is going to frustrate me like anything. Gameplay. I kind of wish that when you moved from mainland to I've probably missed it, haven't I? Yeah, I kind of wish that it would change this automatically for you when you move from one place to another. So as you're going from mainland Europe over to the UK, or vice versa, it would be handy if it were to change it for you. Right, I'm going to duck in here and grab myself a load of fuel. There we go. Filling her up. It ain't gonna be cheap. She was fairly empty. Yep, that definitely isn't cheap. Ouch, that hurt, especially now that this race has become about money and not time. That is not nice. Not nice at all. There you go. Is what it is, and we will see what happens. So, if you have just joined me, the rules of this race originally were to take in checkpoint by checkpoint and get from Aberdeen to Istanbul. I've had an update which has chucked me right back at Aberdeen, which has created a little bit of a rule change, but there is also other reasons for this rule change. So there was no way I was going to make the time that I had actually given myself. I'd actually done it very scientifically as well. I'd looked it up and everything. Looked up how long it would actually take to do the journey in reality. It was not going to happen for me. So I essentially added on a few days to how long it would take in reality and went, yeah, that's how long I've got. Oh, headlight usage. I always get done on that one. So yeah, that's now completely out the window. Also because I've been chucked back at Aberdeen, it just yeah, would have added a heck of a lot more time on it. It would have made this a waste of time as well. So what's happening now is I'm driving back down to Plymouth, which is where I was when the game chucked me back here. I am going without a trailer because that would be cheating. However, I have loaded up on fuel. It's going to cost me fuel to get there as well. But it is what it is. So the new rules are that every checkpoint I get to, I will be buying a garage. If I can't afford it, I'm going to have to do a few jobs until I can, and then go back and buy that garage in that checkpoint. I will be trying to take the shortest routes possible. I still won't be buying long route, any of those perks. I will just be solely doing the short routes that it gives me originally, and we will see how it goes. The idea is that once I get to Istanbul, I should be able to buy the garage there without having any bank loans. If I can't buy it without bank loans, so essentially I need all my bank loans paid off by the time I get to Istanbul. If I can't buy it without bank loans, again, I'll be driving around a little bit until I can. Who's been a naughty boy then? Absolutely love that they put little things in this game like that. Although I have noticed it often seems to be in the same places. So, for example, going past Birmingham, they always seem to close the road. They always seem to close the M1, which is not ever welcomed, especially if you're going to be playing this properly like I'm going to be and not ploughing straight through. I don't know if I'll plough straight through on this trip. Probably not, but so anyway, for those of you with me, hello and welcome. It's great to have you with me, and hope you're enjoying the stream thus far. So this isn't just plainly me mucking around, it is actually for something and hoping to achieve something. Really not enjoying this 50-mile-an-hour limit. The sooner I get out onto the main motorways, the better. Especially without a trailer, I can absolutely bomb it. Yeah, Mr. Police Car still wants to get past me. Although I guess for him it would be 60, wouldn't it? I'm gaining a heck of a lot of experience points through this. So yeah, essentially I bought the cheapest truck money can buy on this game. Actually, it might not be the cheapest. I think the cheapest is an Iveco. I think this is, yeah, this is the cheapest Scania money can buy, and Scanias aren't cheap, I know that. Scanias are not renowned for being the cheapest. They are renowned for being good. I believe quite reliable. I am still in Scotland indeed, yeah. I got stuck up here as a result of, yeah, a bit of a mishap with an update. Should be indicating. Yeah. The M90. Yep, not entirely thrilled about still being in Scotland, but there's not a lot I can do about it, unfortunately. As I say, I want to start buying out garages in each of the checkpoints as I get there, so that I'll only ever have to drive from the last checkpoint to the next one. But it also adds a bit of a challenge to make sure I can actually afford buying garages at the checkpoints, and at the moment I don't think I've got enough when I get to Brest to be able to do that. It will be a bank loan, and I'm not sure whether I can afford a bank loan or not. I have a feeling I will be able to do it on a bank loan. There's one bumpy bridge. Having never actually been to Scotland, I have no idea even which bridge this is, if I'm honest. But if you know what bridge this is, let me know. And let me know if you, if it's actually that bumpy in reality. I very much doubt it is. So the imagination, I would assume it's probably well, I don't know, there's usually a few little bumps and kinks in these bridges, but I'd imagine it's probably fairly smooth running. course, you guys can't see me, but I am rocking in my seat at the moment, backwards and forwards, willingness to go more than 56. That's what you get when you buy a cheap truck. There you go, soon be speeding past Edinburgh. So, making my way slowly into England. So why is it 50 here? Ah, because of the junction. And the fact I'm coming onto an A road. So you'll have to excuse my voice today if it's a little bit off. Come down with a little bit of a cold. Yeah, it's doing the rounds around the house at the moment. And it ain't fun. See, now, technically, I shouldn't be passing them on the near side. That would be illegal here in Britain. It's not a law that most people abide by, but it is a law nonetheless. So the perk to driving like this is I am at least doing it on the shortest route possible and the quickest route possible to get back to Plymouth, where I was last time we left off. It does appear to be taking me down some sort of out of the beaten path a little bit. Not that I'm complaining, that makes it a bit more of an interesting drive than bombing it down the motorway the entire time. I don't know about you, but I find sometimes playing Euro Truck, you'll end up just solely on the motorway for hours and hours on end, and it gets a little bit tedious. Don't get me wrong, I love the game. I think it's strangely addictive for what it is. That beacon would really give you a headache if you were following this, wouldn't it? I have a feeling he's going to start speeding away down this hill though. Yeah. So am I. It's really odd because from the cab it feels like you're over that line, but when you look in the mirror, you're actually still within the line. Wow, still another 9 hours in-game time to go to get there. This really isn't a short trip. You just go ploughing straight through those cones. 10 points for realism. So, how's everyone doing? You all okay? Yes, well, it's 9 hours in game time, so it's not so bad. In reality, I'm not sure how long that's going to actually be, but you can see the time coming off that clock pretty quickly. So in terms of how long this... Oh, that'll teach me for looking at the chat and not the road. Yeah, in terms of how long this stream will last, planning to go till about 9:30, possibly 10 o'clock. And we'll see where we get by then. I'm not making checkpoints within one stream. I don't think that's viable. I think it might be this time. I think we should be able to get to Brest and buy out a garage this stream. It's a bit of luck. As long as something ridiculous doesn't happen, like there being no jobs in Plymouth to get to Brest, we should be all good. So, last time I played, I got to Plymouth and I was elated that I'd managed to pick up a job in Plymouth ready to go over to Brest, and now that is all gone. It is no further. Or no more, should I say. Ugh. What is it with these random 50 zones on the motorway? So I'm playing this without any mods that dramatically change the game. There's a couple on there. So I've got live I have got real life signage, so you find that a lot of the companies are like DHL and the like. I think I have one that makes traffic behave in a more lifelike way as well, but I don't have anything like pro mods or anything like that that will alter the game in a way that will actually change how... That's it, just speed past me. I'm supposed to let people across, really. Yeah, I don't have any mods that will change the game in a way that will actually affect the challenge at all. I think pro mods would be the biggest issue, because it would just increase the map so much that yeah, I wouldn't have a cat and horse chance of getting anywhere fast. Wait. Yeah, it could be a smart motorway, although it looked like permanent signage rather than the motorway itself changing. Or yeah, those automated signs that you often get, especially sort of M25 and that area. Now this is roadworks. Now, if I recall, I did this same stretch of road before, and this same stretch of road had these roadworks. I think these are permanent and they never move. Probably upgrading this bit to smart motorway. Because when they're upgrading to smart motorway, it does seem to drag forever, doesn't it? Wow, this tunnel's blinding. Won't be long until I'm going to have to pull over and take a rest break. $7 hours 15 left of in-game time and driving. So yeah, I very much doubt I'll get all the way to Plymouth without having to take a rest break. And I don't want to be fined for not resting. For those of you wondering, not that anyone asked, but for those of you that are interested, the idea of fining you for not taking a break is actually a real thing. So in Europe they have a law that requires drivers to drive, or professional drivers to drive, to driving hours. So there'll be a tachograph that tracks sort of how much time you're spending behind the wheel, how fast you're going, all sorts. And on that it will essentially log your time. These days it's all sort of digital tachograph cards, but I think it's 8.5 hours you're permitted to drive in a day, and within that I think every 4.5 hours you have to take a half-hour rest break. And between shifts, so you can drive 8.5 hours and then you have to take a longer rest break. Now I can't remember, I used to drive under what's called domestic hours, which is a different set of UK laws, which actually allows 10 hours in a day. But with that I had to have 12 hours off between shifts, so I can't remember actually what it was that the EU legislation is. So At the time, I don't know whether it's changed now, but at the time, depending on how far I was driving, depended on whether I had to drive on domestic hours or on EU hours. I've never driven under EU hours, but I had to learn all about them in order to get my bus driver's license. Yeah, foot to the floor now. Oh, nice, seen a little train go over. I didn't realise there was dynamic scenery like that, to be honest. I don't think it's something I've seen before. I'm not sure, maybe I've seen it around the stations for the Channel Tunnel. I don't know. There's definitely trains down there, but I don't know if they move. I know the ones you board don't. That's static. Yeah, that's static scenery that you kind of just drive onto and wait for a loading screen. There you go, speeding through the north of England now, finally. Probably have been for a while, I just haven't really been paying much attention to the signs. What are we on? We're on the M6. It's remarkably light for what's supposed to be, what, 5 minutes past 4 in the morning, isn't it? Yeah, it really must be. Well, in fairness, it's only just got dark, so, you know, clocks change and daylight hours seem to change dramatically. I guess we're, what, an hour ahead of what we were, so kind of makes sense. So just a quick recap of what we're doing here, just for people that may or may not have joined us. The plan originally was to race from Aberdeen to Istanbul against the clock. It's become very apparent that's not going to happen. So the rules have now changed. The rules are now that I am going to be doing the same route. And the idea has always been to take in various checkpoints along the way. But now, instead of just racing checkpoint to checkpoint, when I get to a checkpoint, I have to buy a garage at that checkpoint. If I can't afford it, I can take a bank loan. But when I get to Istanbul, I must have paid off all of my bank loans and bought the garage at Istanbul. So this is now a financial challenge instead of a physical race. Now, I updated the game recently, and it has dropped me back at Aberdeen for some reason. So I'm currently just ploughing through the British countryside to get to where I was before, which is Plymouth. Now you might be wondering why it took me so long to get to Plymouth, why it's taken me, well, 4 episodes to get to Plymouth. That was because I actually went through France to get there, but then had no job from Roscoff to Brest, which is my first checkpoint. So went to Plymouth in the hopes of getting a job there, and lo and behold I did, but then I quit the stream there, updated the game since that stream, and now I am having to drive from Aberdeen back to Plymouth, where I was. So that is the story thus far. Oh, look at this, coming through into the Midlands now. Feel like I'm actually getting somewhere. Way. I'm a better driver than this in reality, I promise. Interesting, having to turn off as if I'm going off into Wales. There you go, there comes in the first yawn. Now, I reckon... yeah, there's a rest stop there. I'm gonna say, I reckon there must be a rest stop somewhere up here fairly soon. And luckily there is. be fair, I'm not surprised this bloke's tired, he's been driving all night. I think the rest stops up this bit. If it's not, I'm going to kick myself. It's be here, surely. Yeah. Alright. Oh, I've already got a loan. Well, that's not helpful, is it? I hadn't realised I already had a loan. That is going to make this remarkably more interesting. Can't really see very far up there. Just hope there's enough loans on offer for me. We'll have to have a look when we get there, find out what loans I've actually already got. See if there are going to be any suitable loans to actually buy a place. .56 mile per hour limiter. Really not liking it. I get that it's probably a legal requirement. It is quite a bit nicer though, driving in the daylight. I think you were right, I think it must have been summer. Because look how beautifully sunny it is now. Ah, sign for Plymouth. That is good news. So I've not actually decided where I want my next checkpoint to be after Brest yet. So if you have any ideas, then let me know. Oh, excuse me. Sorry if you're wearing headphones, I didn't mean to blast your ears off. Kind of wish there was like a number of miles too. But I guess if I put those on, it would be fairly inaccurate, wouldn't it? Because I'm pretty sure this map isn't to scale. Look at that, 29 degrees C outside temperature according to the dashboard. That is beautifully hot. It certainly is. So, I actually have a Discord server up and running. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing and when I'll be streaming next and what I'm doing with my YouTube channel, then the Discord is the right place to do that. It is on my YouTube. There's a link for it on my YouTube channel, which is Simudan. So go search me up on there and think about getting on that Discord server as well. So you might be wondering why I go a bit wobbly sometimes with the steering wheel. If you watch the steering wheel, I sort of do little jerks of it getting around corners. That is because I'm currently playing with an Xbox controller and not with my steering wheel. I own a steering wheel. It's just a bit too much faff to set up every time, and the Xbox controller actually does it perfectly fine. I wouldn't want to play mouse and keyboard, no way. It's not too bad with a thumbstick. I honestly don't know. I think it would depend on the steering wheel and the compatibility to whether it would run on Linux or not. My assumption is probably yes. There's probably a steering wheel that would run on Linux. I mean, the steering wheel I've got is plug and go, so I don't know. It might be a case of downloading a driver to enable it to work on Linux. I can't see why it wouldn't know. fairly similar to plugging in a mouse or something similar, and the game itself supports pretty much all steering wheels, so you might find the game will do most of the work for you. Oh no, I was going to get past that yellow car and now I've got a 50-mile-an-hour limit. Yeah, I'd imagine a steering wheel would work. I don't know whether a setup like what I'm using now, which is an Xbox controller, would work on Linux. I'd imagine probably not. I think the reason an Xbox controller works so well is Windows and Xbox are both owned by Microsoft. Although you can link, I don't know why you'd want to, but you can plug in your, or hook up your Xbox controller via Bluetooth to an iPhone. No idea why you'd want to do that. I don't think there's any games that would require the controller that I can think of anyway on iPhone, so who knows. Determined to get past that yellow car. You see, it's seen me try and get past, now it's speeding off into the distance. Just like real life, you'd never really want a lorry getting past you. It's just embarrassing. Right, look at this, so close to Plymouth now. Smell it. Out onto the A roads. What are these sunflowers? At least I assume they're sunflowers. I didn't realise that Britain had such a sunflower farming industry. Probably because it doesn't, but there you go, you gotta let these developers have their fun. Yeah. That came on a bit sudden. Carrots need to eat. See, I reckon this is static scenery. It looks like static scenery. Can't imagine this is all been imported. Huzzah, Plymouth. Right, in fact, before we get into Plymouth, let's go to the job market and have a look. Fruit market. So now we're going to play this properly. So the rules will still be that I have to take cargo